Okay, and with that, I will welcome everybody to the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I will explain how the hearing will go, but first I have to read you a notice. And it's Wednesday, April 14th, 7:05. That in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access. The town of Lunenburg, in response to the COVID-19 coronavirus, is currently following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health, Mass Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus and steps communities can take to prevent the spread, and all town facilities are currently closed to the public except by appointment. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 38, Section 20, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. This meeting will be broadcast live through the local access cable on Facebook Live and on public access Facebook page, and will be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting. The following information is provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To join the Zoom meeting, it's https://us02web.zoom.us/j/meeting ID 858-0216-5099. If you have not registered with Zoom, you will be asked for your name and an email address. Note, no participant ID is needed. You just press the pound when asked. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to speak. The Lunenburg zoning tonight, we have 4 hearings, and what we're going to do is we're just going to take them one after the other. The first one is going to be 757 Chase Road, North End Subaru. Then it's going to be 45 Cove Road, Abrams and Martineau. And then 2259 through 259 Leominster Shirley Road, Powell Stone and Gravel. And then it will be 12 Sunset Lane, to Signet. I hope I didn't murder that. Okay, and with that, I have to take a roll call vote from the board. I'd like to introduce the members of the board and take a roll call. Lisa Normandin is our board secretary. Jim Bezakowski. Hans Winthrop.
Here.
David Blatt.
Present.
Patrick Callahan. And Tony Nicastro. I'll explain the way the hearing is going to proceed. Lisa will read the application and any other submitted communications. The applicant will have the opportunity for comments on the application or submission of additional documents. If you would like to speak, please give your name and address. Board members will have the opportunity to ask any questions that they may have on the application at the mic. There will be a public comment period, but you will please address all comments and questions to the board. There are required findings for any special permit. They are that it will not be injurious or dangerous to the public health, unduly hazardous because of traffic flow congestion, danger of fire explosion are the reason, that it will not have a material adverse effect on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood, that it will be operated with reasonable regard for order and sightliness if in open use, and that it will not produce noise, vibration, smoke, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines in amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of adjacent property. There is also some dimensional variation special permit, and those additional requirements, the permit may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially degrading from the intent and purpose of the bylaw. The specific site is an appropriate location for such building or alteration. The proposed building or alteration is compatible with the existing neighborhood regard to size, location, and architecture. The granting of the special permit will not adversely affect the neighborhood. The granting of the special permit will not unreasonably diminish the available light, air, sunlight, and other amenities, and there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. And with that, I would ask Lisa to please read the first petition.
This is an application for a special permit, an amendment to a special permit, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9, Zoning Board of Appeals. Name and address of the applicant is Empire Management Corporation, 171 Great Road in Acton, Mass. 01720. The undersigned hereby makes application as follows. The applicant is seeking a special permit in accordance with Section 250-7.3 for a pre-existing non-conforming use to allow parking and vehicle display within 30 feet of a street line and 15 feet of all other lot lines. Section 256.4C3C. The applicant is also seeking to amend the 2005 special permit to allow vehicles within 20 feet of the center line of the street. See attached cover letter for additional information. The proposed action has not begun. The basis for this application is found in the following section of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, 257.3 and 255.2C. Street address of the properties are 757, 739, 747, and 777 Chase Road. Assesses map 14, parcels 1 through 4. The name and address of each holder of legal title to the land, which is the subject of this case, is Empire Management Corporation, 171 Great Road in Acton. And the deed, book, and pages are listed below. If the undersigned has any knowledge of a prior appeal, application, or petition concerning the land or building involved in this case, describe the case and dates involved. Special permit was granted in October 2005, 747, 753, and 757 Chase Road, and a special permit was granted in September 2007 for 739 Chase Road. The letter attached is to the Chairman of the Board, Alfred J. Gravel. Dear Chair Gravel and members of the board, on behalf of Empire Management Corporation applicant and Land Design Collaborative, LDC, is submitting herewith a special permit application to allow for the continued non-conforming use of paved vehicle parking with display within 30 feet of the street and 15 feet of all other lot lines, and to amend the 2005 special permit to allow vehicles within 20 feet of the street line of Chase Road. The applicant is proposing to construct a new Subaru dealership at the location of the existing Subaru dealership at 757 Chase Road. The lot is identified on the Town of Lunenburg Assessors GIS map, parcel 3, map 14, which is located in the commercial district. The applicant also owns a property at 739, 747, and 777 Chase Road, which is included in the application as described below. These lots are identified as map 14 as parcels 1, 2, and 4 respectively. The filing has been prepared in accordance with section 258.3 of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw. And they have enclosed the following: the application, the abutters list, filing fee, special permit plans, and both previously granted. Excuse me? The existing conditions. The existing Subaru dealership is located on 1.6 acre lot located on the west side of Chase Road. The Subaru property abuts the 3.7 acre lot containing an existing Mazda dealership and an undeveloped 3.7 acre lot to the south. Additionally, there is a 4.5 acre lot containing a single family house to the north, all the common ownership of the applicant. The portion of the single family house lot is located in the outlying district, and the remainder of the property is located in the commercial district. The dealerships are accessed through their frontage on Chase Road. Other than 2 mulched islands, there are no defined curb on Chase Road. Existing customer and employee parking are located in the front of and on the south side of the Subaru parking. Vehicle display and storage for Subaru and Mazda is shared within the limits of the paved areas on site and extends across the common existing property lines. A dealership has been in operation on this property since the early 1960s, with the first showroom constructed in the early 1970s. The vehicles have been displayed along the frontage and across common property lines since that time as a pre-existing non-conforming use. In 2005, the applicant purchased the property. They received a special permit from this board to allow the continuance of an existing use automobile sales and service. Proposed conditions. The applicant is proposing to construct a new 27,800 square foot Subaru dealership, generally in the same condition as the existing dealership. The existing building has been renovated several times over the years and contains multiple floor elevations. The proposed dealership is required to comply with current Subaru branding standards and to serve its current customers more effectively. No new employees are needed to service this proposed facility. 23 service bays will be constructed at the rear of the building as part of the first phase, while the existing facility remains operational. Once the service bays have been constructed, the existing building will be raised and the remainder of the new dealership will be constructed. Access, parking, and circulation will be better organized with more defined travel ways, and customer and employee parking will be provided in accordance with the regulation. The applicant is proposing curbed, vegetated landscape islands from the gutter line of Chase Road extending 5 feet onto the Locust property. These landscape islands will be located in front of the Subaru dealership along the frontage up to the Mazda dealership, with the exception of the openings for the driveway locations. The proposed landscape islands will improve vehicular traffic circulation while enhancing the appearance of the property and will allow for the display vehicles to be visible to vehicles traveling on Chase Road. The ability to display vehicles that are visible to passerbys is critical to the success of the dealership. The 5-foot setback from the street line will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood and will be a substantial improvement over the existing condition. Other improvements include infrastructure, storm water, wastewater, and potable water upgrades, landscaping, and site lighting. As part of the proposal, the existing house lot will be separated into its own lot through the A&R process. In the remaining commercial Subaru and Mazda lots will be amalgamated into the one lot containing approximately 12.5 acres. Additional permits required for the project include a site plan approval with the planning board and a notice of intent with the Conservation Commission. We plan to proceed with these permit processes concurrently with the special permit application. We respectfully request that the board grant the special permit to allow the continued non-conforming use of the paved vehicle parking and display within 30 feet of the street and 15 feet of all other lot lines, and to amend the 2005 special permit to allow vehicles within 20 feet of the street line of Chase Road. We believe this proposal meets and exceeds the requirements of Section 258.3C2 with the response to the following questions. A, will not be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion, danger of fire or explosion, or other reasons. The new facility will not generate any new traffic congestion. No new employees are required to operate this facility. Rather, the new facility is being constructed to better serve its existing employees. Traffic circulation will be improved on site with more defined travel ways and curbed landscape island, better defining curb cuts on Chase Road. There will be no new danger of fire or explosion. B, will not have a material adverse effect on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities of the neighborhood. The reply, the new facility will not have an adverse effect on the property values. The new facility will be an improvement over existing conditions and in turn will increase the value of the property. C, will be operated with reasonable regard for order and sightliness if an open use. The reply, the proposed facility will be an improvement over existing conditions and that it will be operated with reasonable regard for order with the improved and better defined traffic patterns and sightliness with the addition of landscaping and a new building. Will not produce noise, vibration, smoke, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at lot lines at the lot in amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of adjacent property. And the reply, there will be no activity that will generate noise, vibration, dust, odor, smoke, or glare observable at the lot lines. There will be no activity that will generate noise, vibration, smoke, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines. Any of these types of activities will take place inside the building. We trust you will find the enclosed information acceptable, and we thank you in advance for your attention to the special permit application. We look forward to meeting with the board at your next available hearing. Please feel free to contact me should you have any questions or wish to discuss. And that's signed James T. Almonte, Principal of Land Design Collaborative. There is also a list of abutters. It's signed by Brian Lafferty of 171 Great Road, Acton. There are the two previous permits that were granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals. And there is a letter from the building inspector. I will read that. I have reviewed the application and have the following comments. The property in question is parcel ID 14-3, listed as 757 Chase Road. It is in the commercial district. The building is currently being used as a Subaru car dealership. Proposed use is to construct a new Subaru dealership building in the same approximate location as the existing dealership and increase parking. The expansion, reconstruction of an auto sales facility and auto repair facility both require the special permit through the Zoning Board of Appeals under Table of Uses 41L1 and 41L2. In addition, the added parking is not in line with the special permit granted on October 18th, 2005, which has conditions number 1, number 2 out of the 16 total conditions that place the restrictions on parking. A new special permit is if issued, would need to address parking requirements. I also have a memo from James Gariffi from the Lunenburg Board of Health. I have reviewed the plan submitted for the site, and the Board of Health will have the following concerns which will need to be addressed. The site will need to have a sewage disposal system in full compliance with Title V and the Lunenburg Board of Health regulations for the proposed and existing buildings. Number 2, the site will have to have a public water supply approved by DEP. 3, the site will need to have an industrial waste holding tank installed and certified to handle non-sanitary wastewater. 4, it appears the lot will be divided from the parcel which contains a single-family house. The owner will need to comply with the division aggregation section of Title V. The Department of Public Work has no comment on the application. Comments related to site development will be addressed through site plan approval with the Planning Board. The Fire Captain James Reese said the approval is subject to review of fire protection systems. And the Planning Board indicated that the applicant is concurrently applying for a site plan approval and stormwater permit through the Planning Board. And the Conservation Commission meeting has been continued till April 21st of 2021. And that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
And with that, I would invite the applicant or his representative to add any other information if he would like, or to speak to the issues.
Okay, my name is James Almonte. I'm a registered landscape architect with Land Design Collaborative, representing Empire Management and Colonial Automotive Group. Brian Lafferty is on the call as well. He's representative from Empire Management. We appreciate the board's time in hearing our application tonight. We appreciate Lisa reading in the letter. I think that pretty much covers the entire application. I'm not sure how this board handles it. I could walk you through the site plan if the board is interested. I could share my screen, or I don't know if the board calls up the plans themselves. I'm not sure how that works in Lunenburg.
Okay. Patrick, are you able to pull up the plan?
Yeah, I think if you just
Or we could have
Garrett,
do it if you would like.
James, do you want to
Sure.
share the screen? I'm assuming you already got that.
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah, if you go ahead.
Let's see. I don't know if that works. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, come on. One participant. All right, try that again.
Move that over. That work?
That works.
Okay, let me just go back. One plan. Okay, I'll just quickly walk you through the existing conditions plan, just so you get oriented. So this is Chase Road here at the bottom of the page. North is to the right-hand side of the page, south to the left. This is the existing Subaru dealership located here on lot 2. Mazda is located to the south of that. There is a vacant land also owned by Empire Management, and then the existing residential house lot at 777. So this is the entire property owned by Empire Management. As you can see, these are the 2 mulched islands that were referenced in the cover letter. Other than that, it's basically just open pavement from the site out to Chase Road, and it's pretty much been that way since the 60s when this site was first operational as a auto dealership. I think the first showroom was built by Subaru back in the 70s. Property was owned by the Heikeles at that time, and Empire Management purchased the property in 2005. They purchased the 2 dealerships in the house lot in 2005, and I believe in 2007 they purchased the vacant land to the south. At that time, they were able to get the special permit for an automobile use expanded to this property as well. So there was a special permit in 2007, and then the special permit in 2005, which is the one we're looking to amend tonight. So that's existing conditions. What the proposal entails is the construction of a new Subaru dealership, generally in the same location as the existing dealership. And again, it's basically to bring the facility up to Subaru standards. If you're familiar with the site, the building has gone through several renovations over the years. There's multiple floor elevations. There's multiple additions. It's completely inefficient. So the proposal is required basically again to bring the building up to Subaru's branding standards, and basically to be more efficient and to better service their clientele. There are no new employees required to operate this facility. Again, it's just basically to better service their customers. It'd be a phased construction. The existing building would remain operational while the 23 service bays are constructed at the rear of the site. Once that is done, the existing building will be demoed, and the rest of the proposed building will be constructed at that point. So the issue with the special permits, again, under existing conditions, it's basically just wide open pavement from the site out to Chase Road. What we are proposing are some curbed landscape islands, basically from the gutter line of Chase Road, extending about 5 feet onto the property. So the overall width of the landscape islands will be about 12 to 15 feet. Again, they extend from the corner of the property line with the existing house lot completely in front of the Subaru dealership, except for the driveway openings. And then it stops here just basically because of the location of the Mazda dealership. It's close proximity to the street line. We want to continue to be able to allow vehicles to travel through the defined driveway across the front of the site. So that's why we're basically stopping the islands here. And this dash line here is basically the limit of work. So the Mazda dealership is going to remain, it's going to remain untouched. No work will be done to that facility. It's basically all for the Subaru dealership. So again, the 2 things we're requesting the board, the amendment to the 2005 special permit, which had a condition which stated that there shall be no vehicles within 20 feet of the property line. We're requesting to amend that to allow them to park or store vehicles or display vehicles across the front of the site, which is vital to the success of the dealership. The landscape islands will certainly be an improvement, and it will basically be able to control the vehicles shown on the site. And then the other permit we are requesting is special permit to allow the pre-existing non-conforming use of pavement basically within 30 feet of the front property line and 15 feet of the side property line. Again, we don't feel, and it was referenced in the cover letter, that this is not detrimental. It's certainly an improvement to the area, improvement to the neighborhood, and an improvement over existing conditions. So again, other permits required, site plan approval with the planning board, which we are in the process of doing right now. We've received comments from Graves Engineering peer review, very minor comments. Most of them are just related to stormwater. Lisa read in the comments we received from the town. So we're working to respond to those comments. Now we have a planning board meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. And we also have a continued hearing with the Conservation Commission. Again, we met with them once already and they had very minor comments at this point.
Okay. Okay, is you done with your presentation?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. I do have a couple of comments from that presentation. You had mentioned that it's true, we had a 20-foot setback from Chase Road in the 05 and 07 permit, special permit. And I noticed the cars were actually parked right on the road with basically zero lot line. Could you,
Right.
just address that? And that makes me, wonder what I'm doing with the 5 foot.
Right. So right now it's pretty much a free for all out there. I mean, there's no defined.
Well, we did define the 20-foot setback.
Right. There's nothing defined on the ground, I should say. So, with a typical auto dealership, it's kind of a free for all unless you have some type of physical barrier out there. That's why we're proposing this curbing to better define the travel aisles, the circulation, and the vehicle display. So, I agree with you. I've been out there a number of times. There are vehicles parked very close to the right of way. So with this, we're actually pulling them back from the site.
If I could answer that question, Brian Lafferty from Empire Management, we're the owners of the property. Jim is accurate, although I wouldn't have used the words he used, that it's a free-for-all out there. But we have 17, 18 dealerships throughout the Commonwealth. Our headquarters is in Acton. And so our management from the general office can't be at every dealership every day, all the time. And unfortunately, what happens sometimes, it's sort of a creeping problem. And we have similar problems at all the dealerships, not specifically like this, but various things that, for example, signage. And the manager at the dealership will put up a sign and we'll get a phone call at headquarters that the town doesn't allow that sign, and we'll call up the general manager and tell them to take the sign down. So what we do when we design new facilities is, I guess it's sort of like if you were building a house and you had to, keep your dog, your puppy contained, or keep the children contained. We try to design in the parameters that are important to us and important to the community. And in this particular instance, as Jim said, that it's a continuous curb cut all along Chase Road currently. And like I say, we have creeping issues from the salespeople and the lot people and other people employed out in the field. So we're trying to design in a more specific barrier to prevent them from doing what they're not supposed to be doing. And it would be nice if we had somebody that traveled all the dealerships and watched them all day long. But unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. So in this case, as Jim suggested, we're proposing to put parameters in there in landscape islands so they can't get any closer than the approved design. The one other comment I'll make on this specific area of discussion, just to make everybody aware, that the area we're talking about, which abuts Chase Road, we're not planning to use that for any sort of parking. It's just simply display of vehicles. So it's not like in a normal situation where you may prevent parking of typically, as we understand parking, somebody drives into a business, walks in the business, goes back out, gets in their car, drives away. That's not what we're planning to do in this area. It'll strictly be a display area. So there's not constant traffic or movement or any sort of safety considerations. And again, Jim's plan sort of locks this stuff in stone because nobody's going to be driving over a traffic island or a landscaped island. So that's all I have on that subject.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Okay, and since you mentioned the sign, I will mention that there is one sign that is also in violation, but since you say you're gonna redesign this and put everything back the way it is, I'll take you at their word.
I appreciate that. As you know, the Heiklers owned this business back in the 60s.
Yes.
And it was sort of a creeping progress. I mean, they added a little piece here, added a little piece there, and all these things get done. And this is our first major overhaul of the property, and we're going to do our best to do it right. So everything works the way it should. And again, it's like trying to train an unruly child sometimes when we have, remote employees that, they don't, their job is to sell automobiles. My job and Larry Gordon, the owner, our job is to make sure that, we're good neighbors to a community, that we do a good overall job and we adhere to the regulations. But the guys in the field don't always see it quite the same. So we do, like I said, we do as much as we can with the actual facility to we try to force good behavior.
Okay. All right, so when we're talking about these curves are you talking 5 feet from the edge of Chase Road back into your property?
So
Where they hide, curbing and 5 feet of landscape measured back of the curve to the back of the curve?
Well, right now, Chase Road does not have any curbing. So there's basically a pretty well-defined gutter line that's out there right now. So we are proposing to add vertical granite curbing from the gutter line of Chase Road onto our property 5 feet. So it's 5 feet from the property line of Chase Road, or the right of way of Chase Road. But the actual landscape island is about 12 to 15 feet wide. So maybe if I can zoom in, explain that better. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
So this is the property line, or the right of way line for Chase Road that runs across the front of the site. This is the gutter line of Chase Road and essentially the edge of the mulch beds now. So we're basically adding curbing to the edge of the mulch beds and projecting them across the front of the site where there are no mulch beds, and then extending that 5 feet onto the property. So it's about 12 to 15 feet from
Now, when you say
curb to
the
curb.
edge line, are you talking the white painted line?
It's actually inside of that. It's closer
So
to the.
it's still really on the road.
It's within. Well, it basically follows the edge of the mulch
Does
beds.
the DOT have any rules on that? Don't they require like 5 feet off of the edge of the road?
Well, Chase, right. It's the gutter line, so it's essentially the edge of pavement now. So this is the edge of the mulch bed. We're basically just picking up that line. So
Okay.
you can't
So
you
it
can't
is
travel.
the edge of the pavement on Chase Road. I mean, you can clearly see the edge from your parking area to the edge of Chase Road,
Right.
the tar. So you're saying you're going to go beyond that edge, or you're going to go on that edge with the curbing?
We're basically going on that edge. So the curbing, we're putting the curbing in where the mulch bed is today. So the mulch bed on the Chase Road side. Maybe if I can.
Yeah, it's still not clear on what you're doing.
So are you saying that the mulch beds are off of Chase Road now? They are
They're in-
how many feet are the mulch beds, that edge of the mulch beds, from the edge of Chase Road?
So the mulch beds are within the right of way of Chase Road. They're probably about 10 feet into Chase Road. So we're picking up that line and projecting it and extending it 5 feet onto the property. So the pavement, the edge of pavement right now in Chase Road is basically right here. It basically follows where we're adding the curbing.
With that, Dave, I'll open it up to the whole board.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. So while you have that picture up, if my understanding is correct, the 20 feet comes from the center line of Chase Road onto your property. Where would that be? If we were to keep the 20 feet as is, where would that be? Do you know roughly approximately where that would be on your line and in your parking spot in the front there?
The 20 feet, are you referring to the 20 feet that's referred to in the special permit?
Yeah, that we granted back in 2005. So that's from the center line of Chase to your property. Do we know where that would be approximately on this plan?
If you're taking it from the center line, it would be within Chase Road. I don't think that's the way it was written, though.
No, it was 20 feet from the edge of the pavement.
Right.
To
So,
their
But the
property.
cars were parked really right up to the pavement.
right, it would basically it would eliminate all of the display spaces across the front of the site.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, Mr. Chairman, I can't recall another situation where we granted that 20 foot. I mean, I think it's a safety issue, right? Especially on that road.
That's kind of why I'm questioning how close they're coming to the road with that.
Yeah. Especially if, I mean, I go by there a lot, as I'm sure everybody else does too. I mean, those cars are right on the road. So, granting them another 15 feet of relief to get to Chase Road, I think I'm not really, to me, that's a safety issue, especially on that road, whether you have, granite curbing or not. People go 55, 60 miles an hour on that road.
Any other comments and questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, a couple of ones. Did we have, my concern is, once again, I'm not understanding what the distance is from the curbing, end of pavement, to the first parking space in this diagram. There's no dimension that I can see here on this diagram that tells me how wide it is from this proposed granite curbing that they're putting up to that first parking space.
If I can address that.
Yes.
So it's a variable width because it's just the edge of pavement and Chase Road is variable, but it's basically runs from about 15 feet from the edge of pavement to the edge of the front end of that first parking space. So we laid this out so it's a consistent 5 feet from the right-of-way line, which is not the pavement line. It's the right-of-way line. The pavement line is an additional about 10 feet or so from that point. So, and if I could address the previous comment too, we're pulling the cars further away from where they are today. We're not asking to push them closer.
On the road.
Right. So we agree it's a safety issue. That's why we're adding in the curbing and pulling the vehicles back.
So to my earlier comment, you're really talking you have it 15 feet back from the edge of the road to where Dave was asking it, that first parking lot right there.
Correct.
About 15 feet.
That's correct.
Okay. And Mr. Chair,
How far would that be from the edge of the road?
15 feet from the,
That's the 15 feet.
15 feet from the edge of the pavement to the parking spots.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions for the board?
Sure. Mr. Chair, the other thing is, have we had a review from the fire department? Because I see an issue on the left-hand side, if you're looking at the property, on the left-hand side of a emergency vehicle being able to enter and maneuver between the 22-foot opening over by the Mazda dealership to get to the back of the dealership. So if I look at a vehicle, an emergency vehicle, a fire truck, how it would get into the back of the dealership, you're going too fast, way too fast.
Sorry,
That's a perfect picture. But I don't see a fire truck being able to maneuver that with the cars and everything else like that an apparatus. So I have trouble with the fact that there is not an opening at the, that allows a free flow of traffic as it does on the right side. I would assume this, I would expect to see the same thing on the left side.
Okay,
So I would say the opening for the, should be an opening. I would see, no opening in the front and just two, because they're only allowed two openings by the bylaw. So, why would we have an opening in the middle to cause a problem in the traffic flow? Now, I don't know if that's part of us or part of the planning board, but I would think that that would be a huge issue.
You're in bounds to address that. Now, I don't think we received anything from the fire department yet, other than on the sprinkled building and stuff, Lisa.
That was their only comment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
so if I could just answer that question.
Yes,
So we did include vehicle tracking or turning movements through the site, and the plan that's showing on the screen now is the fire apparatus, and we only ran it for the areas that we're changing. We could certainly run it through this area and show how it can maneuver around the Mazda dealership. We're not really changing anything over here today. I granted we are adding this curbing in here, but we can certainly show how it can maneuver around the Mazda building. If that would be
I
helpful.
actually, like I say, sir, I have trouble with the fact of it trying that left-hand maneuver of an apparatus with people in the dealership, with people with cars there. If you're already telling me your sales folks can't keep the cars where they're supposed to, I would have trouble with that in an emergency situation. I would want to have a free flow of traffic on both the left and right side to get to that building, because you're only allowing 20 feet or so as is. Even if everybody was exactly where they're supposed to be, you only have 20 feet around that building, around that parking lot.
Hello?
If I could respond to that. If I recall correctly, and the hearing was 13 years ago originally, but we spent a lot of time with the fire department because the fire department was making a determination as to how many vehicles we could store on the site based on their accessibility requirements. And I apologize, I don't know the gentleman's name that was just asking about the fire apparatus. But I do appreciate what you're saying. Because we were only changing the right-hand side, the Subaru side, we didn't do the auto turn templates for that. But we fully appreciate that we have to satisfy the fire department that they can safely move their apparatus in and out to address anything that may happen in the back section of the lot with this car stored. And I do appreciate what you're saying. You're using my words against me, but I'll agree with them that, yeah, I can't always depend on our salesmen parking their cars in the right spot. But we agree that we do have to satisfy the fire department that they can get their apparatus in. I personally thought that was part of the planning board process with site plan, but in any event, we do that and do know
it
that.
will also go to the planning board. They'll also have input.
Okay. So we're fully aware of the need to provide access to the fire apparatus. And we would expect that we would have to get approval from the fire department.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Jim.
Yes, Jim?
Okay. I was on the committee and made the motion back in 2005 related to this. And I see no reason why we cannot enforce the 20-foot setback that we had. When I drive along Chase Road, a lot of times I'll come by and I'll see a car that looks like a disabled vehicle right on Chase Road. And it happens to be 10 or 15 cars in front of the dealership. There's something wrong with that. You look at most dealerships and there's at least 15 to 20 feet off of the side of the road before they park their vehicles, even for show. That's what we want. That's what we enforce or should enforce. And if they have a dealership like this, they should be enforcing it themselves. I think we should continue with and enforce what we have. 20-foot setback from the side of the road. If they want to put a curbing in for the 20-foot, fine. But we should not allow the cars to infringe upon the road or even close to a vehicle that could be disabled in front of them, the way they have been for years. We have it in our special permit process, and they've been ignoring it for the last 16 years. Let's enforce what we have. And if they want to put a 5 or 15-foot setback, do so allowing for the full 20 feet. They have the acreage in the back of the building. If they're tearing down the building, there's no reason why they can't try to honor the whole intent of the law for improving their property at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay.
Mr. Chair, another question, and that's basically how many parking spaces did we grant in the original, and how many? I can't.
And I can be corrected, but if I recall, you can look in the thing, but I think it was like 300.
It was 300.
Okay, and how many? And this is the first I'm seeing this plan. So how many are there proposed here?
I don't really know, but I think that in the recent years, we've been kind of getting away from specifying how many cars, but really more or less specifying areas and, whatever they put there. But we certainly, can put a number on that if the board is so inclined. I'm thinking two things. Number one, I would like to see the curbing in the front, because I think if we just say the 20-foot setback, as they mentioned, everything's just going to keep creeping towards the road. So I do like the idea of an actual hard curve and an actual, let's say, landscaped island. Now, whether it's 5 feet or 10 feet, and parking behind that and from the edge of the road, I do think that part of it may be a good idea. Any other comments from the board?
Could we see the picture that shows more of this land, of how this sits compared to the, can we see how this sits compared to the present dealership? And what's being used? I mean, what's behind this that prevents what Mr. Bezakowski was asking of moving this back a little bit?
There are a couple of issues with the building location. The primary one is, if you recall, the Board of Health comments from the Neshoba Board of Health were required to have this property never had a public water system. They operated with a private water system that you would use for a house.
Uh-huh.
And if you look at the plan, you can see that big circle in the rear, and that is the clear zone for the public water supply well. And it comes right up to the edge of the existing paving. So we have no room to move anything back. All that land has to remain clear. That's the Zone 1 protection area for the public water supply well. So I appreciate what you're saying, that we have more property, but we're hemmed in by a lot of different things. One of the major things being is that 4 or 5 acres. I forgot my pi-r squared, or I'd figure it out, but that entire area has to be left clear as the Zone 1 protection area. And if I could, for just 1 second, go back to what the chairman, we had talked about a couple of minutes ago with this island, the proposed island. So in most cases, the island is going to begin at the edge of the paving, and then there won't be anything displayed for approximately 15 feet back. It is a little bit variable on the right side, which I believe is the north side. So that will have a granite curb, and it'll be a raised planting bed. So it sets off a clear distinction from the traveled road. It's not just a white line in the road, or it's not just bricks in the paving. That'll be a raised planting bed that completely isolates and separates the vehicles and our operation from Chase Road.
Okay. I know when I was there, when I looked at the Mazda, I know they're not the best, but they seem to have like an 8-foot separation with an island.
Yes, the Mazda building was built significantly later than the Subaru building. And I suspect that the permitting process was more sophisticated when they built Mazda. The Subaru site just sort of grew up there, but Mazda was, I think, built in the early 80s. And I suspect the permitting process was a little bit more complicated. And you're 100% right in that the Mazda vehicles that are on display are parked farther back from the street. And there is, if I recall correctly, Jim knows probably better than I, there's a mulch bed out there that moves them back.
There is. And that may be a good point of reference to help visualize where we're proposing to put this island. So we're actually going beyond that island in front of the Mazda dealership. I don't.
So you're saying the parking from the edge of the road where the parking starts will be at least 20 feet? Or
No,
15
15 feet.
feet.
Behind a raised bed.
Right.
Behind a raised bed.
Right. And one of the reasons why we couldn't go any further is the circulation across the front of the site. If we move these beds back or this island back further, we're basically cutting off circulation in front of the Mazda dealership. So we're trying to allow vehicles to still pass through here. If we push this bed back further, we're basically cutting off access here.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, back to my point then, what about, why not move that middle opening there over to the left? So that therefore you take away this whole idea of being able, the traffic flow and things of that sort. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's two separate dealerships, it wouldn't matter that the Subaru and the Mazda dealership didn't share a driveway or an opening, but it would eliminate the fire apparatus issues, as well as it would make it easier for vehicles to get around the site. Right now they're showing it 22 feet. If the 22 feet is only because of the Subaru of car dealership ones, they can push that back and make that smaller and satisfy the 20 feet by just changing the opening right there in the middle, that 24-foot opening over to the left.
That isolates the entire Mazda parcel of land, which would make it impossible to do business. I mean,
You still have that 22-foot opening for Mazda.
as what Jim explained, if you slide that parking back or move that entranceway, you change the accessibility across the front of the site.
In what way?
You essentially can't get from Mazda to Subaru or Subaru to Mazda.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's two separate dealerships.
No, no, it's not. That operates as one business. There's two buildings there, but it operates as what, that is one business that we operate there. They're integrated. I mean, they share staff, they share service capability. They're not operated in a vacuum. They operate together.
And they share vehicle storage as well. So there are vehicles, maneuvering through the site, both Mazda and Subaru vehicles.
Like I
More
said,
questions, Dave?
I voiced my opinion, so other questions if you want.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
I just had one other quick question, and I think it's follow up to what Dave said. I know in our previous, I was just looking at our previous decision, how many between this new dealership and Mazda, and it's in relation to part of what Dave talked about in terms of fire apparatus, and I know that'll be discussed probably at site plan review because I know that topic came up last time too. How many vehicles altogether that you expect to have on both dealerships at any one time? Is it still the 300, or is it going to be over that number that was in the previous permit?
I believe the permit was for significantly more than 300 units, but I don't have it in front of me. But whatever if I'm not mistaken, the fire department, the original planning board decision gave the authority to the fire department to determine the storage capability that we had on the site.
Okay. All right, because we have three, that was in the decision, it was 300 vehicles displayed or on premises. So no more than
Right.
300 vehicles.
Right, unless a plan is approved by the fire department, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
And we would expect that exact sort of situation here, that the fire department would make a determination over what they felt was safe and that they were capable of handling, whether that's 300 or 320 or 265 or 415, whatever the fire department feels is appropriate.
We can condition that in.
Yeah, I mean, I almost,
We will anyway. The planning board will address it, but we will also condition in the fact that it has to be approved by the fire department,
Yeah, we would,
including the egress and ingress.
yes, we would fully expect that. Thank you.
Okay, I have another question, just getting away from this. On lot 7, I think it's 777 with the existing house. Why are you including that in this application if you're saying that you're gonna separate it?
It's part of the existing parcel of land. So we couldn't very well submit a plan to you that didn't show the entire piece of property. And that house is part of the property, but it will be subdivided with the A&R process and removed from the site. Removed
Okay.
out of it.
Now
So-
that white fence, is that the property line?
That's a Jim.
close. Yeah, it's close. It's approximately in that location.
Okay, and now you're asking for relief on that side of the side yard setback?
It's the 15-foot pavement. It's the same section of the bylaw. So there's the 20-foot, which is the amendment to the original 2005 special permit, or 2007 special permit. And then there is an existing, there's a condition in the bylaw, I forget what section of the bylaw it is, that says you can't have pavement within 30 feet of the right-of-way or 15 feet of any other property line.
Correct.
So because this house lot is on its own septic system, we need to meet the Title V setback requirements. So that's why we have this awkward jog in the property line here.
Mhm.
But in order to get vehicles around the building, with the property line, we're going to be closer than 15 feet with pavement on that side property line. And right now,
We're essentially creating our own problem over there because of where we have to put that property line. There's no real obligation for us to subdivide it. It just makes more sense to move the house away from that property. And because of the existing conditions, that line creates a problem for us.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the board?
I just have one comment, not really a question, just after listening to everybody. I do really echo Jim's or James Bezakarski's, since we have two James, comment about the 20 feet that was really never followed. But I guess I do like the 15 feet with a structure kind of not allowing, because I'm assuming what happens, and I've never worked at a dealership, is somebody parks a car, somebody parks it next to it, the next one's a foot closer, the next one's 6 inches closer, and then pretty soon you're right on the white line. So I
Thank you for that. That's exactly what happens. It's creepy.
I do like at least the structure being there, that you're not going to drive a WRX over a granite curb, because you probably wouldn't be working there for much longer.
Sure.
So I do like at least that barrier being there. So that was my only comment.
Okay. I'll ask the question, how high is the curbing gonna be? What's the height of the curbing?
Yeah, a 6-inch reveal on the curbing.
Okay. Okay, any other questions from the board?
Are we assured that the berm or whatever they're talking about is not on state property, is totally on their property?
He's saying it's totally on their property from the edge of the pavement.
So,
If that's how I'm hearing, you can clarify me if I'm wrong.
It's
Didn't
Chase
the-
Road. If I could address that question. So Chase Road is not a state highway. It's a county highway. It's not a state highway. So Mass DOT is not involved, but the curbing on this side,
Why is
it
not a
runs.
state highway. It's Route 13.
It's not a state highway. We've confirmed that with the DOT.
Okay,
So a portion of the island is within the right of way of Chase Road. Like I said, we're holding the edge of the mulch beds, which are in the right of way of Chase Road, but we're kind of straddling the right of way line. So a portion of it is in Chase Road and a portion of it is on our property. It's essentially 5 feet on our property, 10 feet on Chase Road.
I
That's-
personally have a problem with that. I think anything that is done should be from your property line, not on state property or within state property that could be an easement or otherwise. I feel everything should be from your property line, not from something else. Thank you.
So if I could just address that as well. So we did get comments from the Lunenburg, I think it was DPW, which they were in favor of doing this, adding the curbing within the layout of Chase Road and on our property as well. So that was something that was seen favorably by both DPW and Graves Engineering as they're part of their peer review process with the planning board. So they thought this was favorable, a favorable improvement.
I think it's an improvement, but I have to agree with Jim that I think it should all be on your property. From the pavement where it ends, it should be on your property or on your own property.
That create, and I don't want to speak for the DPW, they can speak for themselves, but I think that creates more of a problem for them because now you end up with Chase Road having about 8 or 9 feet of extra space to the right side of the existing paving and travel lane. In other words, you'd have a strip of dirt about it would vary from 6 to 10 feet on the side of Chase Road between the traveled way, the paved way, and where our landscape buffer would then start.
Okay, so you're telling me that curbing would not be on the road at all.
It would
That
not
would
be on the road. It
It
would
would
be
be
it would
pretty
be-
much where the tar ends, which I've asked before and I'm told no.
No, yes,
Where Chase Road tar ends and your property, I'm gonna say line, but whatever it is, because it may not be the actual property line. But you're saying that will be contained on your, let's say, area and not Chase Road,
correct. It would
not
be-
on the pavement at all,
we would begin at the edge of the paving.
okay?
The concern is also for the DPW. I would think for the DPW for plowing and things like that. If this is right at the edge of pavement, when they plow, what happens if who's responsible if the snow hits these vehicles? Is it are they giving us absolving us of any liability when the road has to be paved?
It actually creates a better situation because the road will now have a granite curb, which the plows will not go over. The plows will stay on the paved section of Chase Road, and there won't be any vehicles for 20 feet back from that.
You're saying, no, you just told us it was 15 feet.
Yeah,
If you're saying 20 feet from that, you got a different story. But
No.
if it's 15 feet, we're also, you're asking for relief in two different ways.
No, I don't believe that's the case.
it's 12 to 15 feet from where the plows would be, the edge of travel way in Chase Road, to where the front end of those vehicles. So plows will be here. This is the edge of pavement. This is the vertical granite curb. This is 12 to 15 feet of landscape island here and here. This is where the vehicles start.
Okay, and how far
Yeah.
is that? From where the vehicles start, the line that runs all the parking, place.
Yep.
How far is that to Chase Road?
To the pavement in Chase, to the
edge of the
pavement,
pavement,
to
to
the
the edge of Chase Road pavement.
to the pavement, it's 12 to 15 feet.
12 to 15 feet.
To the right of way line, which is different, it's 5 feet. Where the front end of these parking
So,
spaces
We're
to the right of
talking
way,
about the right of way, you're talking about the grassy area or your parking lot area?
property, it's the property line, essentially the front property line. From the front end edge of those spaces to the property line, which is in the middle of the landscape island, it's about 5 feet. So you have front end of the spaces right here. This is the right of way line. That's 5 feet. To the travel way is 15 feet.
Okay, but. I'm not-
Where's the breakdown lane?
There is
Right.
no breakdown lane.
There is a white line on that road.
Right. Yeah,
They have the travel lane, then there's a white line, then there's the edge of pavement, then there's your property line.
so we're basically,
Is that the white line that you're talking about?
no, we're basically curbing the existing mulch islands. We're holding that edge, so you can't travel there.
Existing mulch islands, but there really aren't any there.
There's mulch, there are mulch beds.
Mazda, but not there.
There is one here. There is a mulch bed here. There's two mulch beds in front of the site. If I go back, let me see
I
if I
know
can,
there's not on the right side.
so there's a mulch bed in front of Mazda,
Right?
and there's the mulch bed that's kind of in between both dealerships.
All right.
So we're holding that line. That's the edge of pavement. We're holding that line. We're curbing that under proposed on our proposed plan. So we're holding that line.
All right, so it is not on any of the paved Chase Road,
Correct.
and that is a dirt area.
Correct.
Okay,
And again, the DPW department is in favor of the proposed plan. They feel it would be an improvement.
I'll ask Lisa again. Did we get anything from the DPW, Lisa?
We did. DPW has no comment on this application. Comments related to site development will be addressed through the site plan approval with the planning board.
Okay, all right.
So would it be in our better interest to say that we would condition this depending on what the DPW said? If they say, push it back, we push it back?
We're gonna make a decision tonight, and I think, whatever we come up with, we're gonna have to come up with a condition on this.
I'm ready to make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right, if there's.
You have to do
Let me just
public
check. Does
comment.
Anybody else have anything else to say? We also have to open it to the public, so Patrick, you're gonna have to tell me if there's anybody from the public.
Yep, pulling that up now. Nope, we got a couple phone-ins. So I guess I would just ask if they, what is it, #9 to raise your hand. I just would, I guess, ask that they
Yeah,
speak up if they're
pound
able to
nine.
do that. But again, I don't know if those phone-ins are for this or for something else, but it,
But nobody has phoned, nobody has said, no
well,
raised hands from anybody.
Tony
one-
has his hand raised.
our board member, Tony Castro, has a raised hand, but
Tony can speak anytime.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Tony, you can speak anytime. You can ask any question.
All right. So my issue is if so, right now I go to Google Earth, right? I look at the Mazda dealership. I see the mulch beds, but the first thing that pops up is a truck unloading cars on the road. So
And
with
that's
all
also
this,
a no-no and in violation.
all this site work, right? Site work pushing this way, pushing that way. What's going to happen to that truck in the wintertime when there's snow into that lane? That's my question.
Okay. That's a fair question because also in the conditions in 05 and 07, there is no loading or unloading in the street. It has to be done in the parking lot.
Right.
So that's interesting.
So as part of the plan submission, we also ran the vehicle tracking for a car carrier,
Yeah.
showing that it can maneuver through the site. So yeah, it's kind of the same thing with the creeping and controlling things operationally, but we are allowing for and have designed the site to allow car carriers to maneuver through the site around the back of the building and then back out again to Chase Road.
But again, my question, who polices this, right? Who's going to police this action? Yeah, you've made room for the cars to unload and unload for the Subaru and the Mazda dealership. Who polices this action? Because this can cause this can cause a little problem on the road. You know what I mean? With traffic and everything, especially in the wintertime, moving a snow. So who polices this action? Right? That's my
What?
question. Who polices this action to make sure they comply?
Oh, of course, it has to be the dealership. Although the building commissioner is our enforcing officer, so we're gonna have to look at this more closely in the future. Just under the conditions in 05 and 07, the first condition was cars must be placed 20 feet from Chase Road. And let's see, fourth condition, all loading and unloading of vehicles to be done off-street for safety purposes.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, this is an issue we face in every community that we're in, probably 13 different communities. And no community wants car carriers unloading on their streets, and I'm the first to agree. With this plan, Jim has shown that we can move the vehicle throughout the site, a car carrier, and I have empathy for what I'm shocked that Google Earth happened to catch us on a time that a car carrier was on the street. What we're now doing with all our dealerships, and I will have this done this week, we are notifying the manufacturers that they contract with a bunch of different car carrier companies, but we'll notify the manufacturer that they are not allowed to unload their vehicles on the street. And I will speak to the general managers over there tomorrow and make sure that it doesn't happen. But what we've been doing the last couple of years is notifying the manufacturers that we can't accept car carrier loads that are being unloaded on the street. Now, I'm the first to admit that under some odd condition, with a snowstorm or something, to say that it's never going to happen, I can't say that. But what I can say is I will notify the manufacturers they're not allowed to discharge on the street, and I will notify all the on-site managers that any car carriers have to be completely on the site for unloading vehicles. And I do appreciate that was a condition before. Again, we face it all the time. And what happens more often than not, the reason we sometimes have an issue with it is because the manufacturers hire different car carrier companies, and they have a recalcitrant driver that just says, "Oh, I don't want to drive on the site." Well, in this particular instance, they're going to be told that they can take their cars back and have somebody else deliver them. So I can assure you that we can address that issue immediately.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think, if, is there any more comments from the board before we take a motion? And Patrick, you saw nobody that's from the
No,
public,
I just, couple of phone ins, but,
probably not for this particular one.
correct.
Okay, okay. If somebody wants to make a motion, first, I think I'd like to, see if we can address this front issue. I mean, we really, have a couple of things on the table, but,
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I could just talk for a second, I am a strict proponent of the 20 feet from Chase Road. However, in this instance, I'd be willing to give 5 feet to get that curbing I think it's more of a safety. I think it enhances the safety on Chase Road. So I'm willing to give them the 5 feet, but I think we have to define from where that 15 feet is. And it sounds like from what the engineer was saying, or the applicant, it's from the travel way of Chase Road, 15 feet in. Maybe, they said 12 to 15 feet, depending on the contour of the front. I'm willing to give them the 5 feet to get the curbing, because I think it's more of a safety enhancement. But I
yeah,
think that we keep all the other conditions in place. And obviously, they'll have to self-police it as well as the building official if there's any kind of issues. But I mean, up since 2005, I haven't been aware of any issues on the site per se, even though they may have violated some here and there.
okay, thank you. Hans, I will agree with that too, but I definitely want the curbing to start at the edge of the pavement from Chase Road. And that's what he's assuring me, that's where it starts at.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments before I ask for a motion? Hearing
Yeah.
none, I would ask for a motion.
I'm willing to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the petitioner's request. And I think he was asking for to allow the continued non-conforming use of the paved vehicle parking and display within 30 feet of the street line and 15 feet of all the other lot lines. And I'm willing to amend the 2005 special permit to allow vehicles within 20 feet of the street line of Chase Road from the edge of the pavement.
Okay, now he's saying that the actual cars will be 15 feet back, so I'd like that in there.
It's variable. It's a little bit variable on the right side as
Side. Okay, so you're saying 12 to 15 feet,
correct.
okay? Is that reasonable, Hans?
I think so, but we have to make sure, I mean, 15, I'd like to see 15 feet as a minimum, but I mean, 3 feet to get the curbing is not a big issue for me. As long as it's I understand the contour and what they're talking about on the roadside.
If I'm understanding what you're saying is, as long as we keep it on our side of the existing paving, assuming it's approximately 12 to 15 feet, that's acceptable. Or that would be within the scope of your motion.
Mr. Chair, could we,
Yes.
could we phrase this where that we are looking for 20 feet? However, the planning board has could have, after planning board review, they can shorten that distance?
No, I think the plan of view board will do what they want, but we have every right to make this condition.
I'd look at that 15 feet as a minimum right now.
I agree. I think 15 feet's a minimum.
If a few parking spaces in the front have to be altered, then so be it. But 15 feet should be a minimum.
If you don't mind, if I could have a word, Mr. Chairman?
You may.
I appreciate what you're saying, because that certainly simplifies it. But here's where the problem becomes. If you look at the plan that's on your screen right now, and you look at the center, what would then happen is that travel lane where, if you can look right in the middle, it says Bitcon paving, see that? So
Yep.
that travel lane that runs all the way across the front of the property then wouldn't work, because on the right-hand side, where the entryway is where we have to drop down to 12 feet. If we had to make 15 feet, we would now shrink that travel lane that goes completely across the property. In other words, right where it says 36 display spaces, existing 9 to remain, that would shrink down, and we couldn't get a car across there, because that's where we drop down to about 12 feet.
Right, either that or you lose those 3 spaces, the final 3 spaces or 4 spaces on that side, on the triple parking that you have proposed.
Well, no, because that would then put a turn into that road, into that driveway. So I appreciate what you're saying. You lose some spaces, but that really doesn't solve the problem, because you're now not driving straight. You're putting a curve, a turn into that middle of the road.
How am I putting a curve in the middle of the road if I'm getting rid of, in the triple spaces in the middle is where you're going to lose some spaces. Where you have 3 cars deep in the middle, you're going to lose the last 4 or 5 spaces there.
You're going to lose the entire row.
So you'll lose a row. You're saying you'll lose a row in the middle.
I'd lose the entire row.
Where would you lose?
Otherwise, that's a straight through road.
Which row of spaces are you saying you're going to lose?
Right where it says 36 display spaces.
How would you lose all of them if you're pushing the cars at the road? If you're pushing the cars at the road back 3 feet, is all you're doing is you're pushing those cars at the road back 3 feet. You're going to tell me you're going to lose that entire row of 36 display spaces by doing that?
Yes, because because Jim, you can see it better than I think the driveway is 22 feet, and it would then become 19 feet or 18 feet.
Well, Brian, there's a couple of things. I think we might be able to make it work. These are display spaces or storage spaces in here. They're 19 feet wide. They're not parking spaces. We could potentially skinny these down to 18 feet instead of 19 and make them a little bit shorter and still get the 15 feet in here.
And
The reason why we're holding a consistent, well, at minimum 5 feet across the front from the property line to the face of curb. We're losing some width in the landscape bed here because we're transitioning this curbing along the travel way. It narrows down in here because there's 2 existing catch basins. We don't want to push this out further and have stormwater out here. We're trying to basically transition the landscape bed back to these 2 catch basins that are located here. But if we lose a little bit of room in here and hold the 15 feet, I think we can make it work.
Well, you're the engineer. If you can make it work and make the board happy, I'm all for it then.
Okay. All right, then Hans, you want to stay with your original motion?
You're on mute, Hans.
What's that?
I'm sorry. So I will amend the motion. I guess the question to the board is, where do you want to draw the line from the 15 feet so that we're assured that, it's going to be 15 feet from where we say it's going to be. And, again, I'm willing to give up the 5 feet to get the curbing. So.
Okay. I think if we said the edge of the pavement of Chase Road, would that work?
That works for me. Does it work for the board?
I'm asking if it works for the board and the engineer. Does that define it?
I guess, sort of, because there's no edge of pavement other than where we have the mulch beds. So, yeah, I guess that would work.
Okay. Is that your motion, Hans?
That's my motion, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to keep all the other conditions in place.
Okay, I think, yes, I'm gonna read all the motions that we had. So I'm gonna wait till we have a actual second to this.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I think what I would do is, in addition to all the other conditions, which we're gonna change that first one to the 15. I think that we definitely have to condition that it would be a curved landscape island, a minimum of 15 feet from the edge of the pavement, and a minimum of 5 feet wide, measured from the back of the curve to the back of the, you're not gonna have you will have a back curve. And landscaping should be required for erosion control purposes. However, you have to exercise, care so you maintain your sight lines. And I think that the minimum of it, you said 6 inches high. And as far as another condition, I think we got to add is the minimum of 22 feet or greater as required by the planning board and fire department for those fire trucks and emergency vehicles and the flow that they've currently got on the plan. Is everybody agreeable to that?
Yeah, the only thing that I had, Mr. Chairman, it was on your last one regarding the fire department, and in condition number 2, it says that the fire department would be able to approve the layout and make sure that they have the egress that number of vehicles. So I think that's already taken care of, but I've just
Yeah. Okay, I just want to find.
because if I'm not mistaken, at the site plan review, they're going to have all the boards weigh in on these plans.
Yeah, they will. I just want to make sure our conditions are clear.
Yeah, 'cause it says in condition number 2 that the Lunenburg Fire Department approves the parking lot layout with regard to ingress and egress
Right.
and the number of vehicles. So,
As I said, we
So,
already understand our obligation to satisfy the fire department, so.
okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. I'm gonna read the list of conditions so that you can change whatever you want. Cars must be placed, in this case, 15 feet from the edge pavement of Chase Road. I'm not gonna, we'll do the, Lunenburg Fire Department approves the parking layout with regard for ingress and egress, and the number of vehicles approved by the Lunenburg Fire Department become part of the permit. All vehicles that are for sale shall be ready and maintained inspection as required by the Registry of Motor Vehicles. All loading and unloading of vehicles is to be done off-street for safety. No parts, materials, or tools shall be displayed or stored out of doors. No junk, as the term is hereby defined, shall be stored or maintained out of doors as used herein. The term junk shall mean any workout, cast off, or discarded articles or material which are ready for destruction or which have been collected or stored for salvage or conversion to some use. The business hours, I don't think we addressed that. I'm going to tell you what they were. The business hours for sale of used cars and cars is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturday 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday 12 to 4. Is that correct?
I don't know if Brian is still with us. I think he's on mute.
That's our typical operating hours, correct?
Okay. The petition shall conduct the business at all times in a manner so as not to be offensive to residential abutters. And I think that is it for the conditions. We have a motion. Does anybody have to add two conditions or anything?
Should we change number 1 to make sure it says must be placed a minimum of 15 feet? So that there's no question it can't be within 15 feet.
Yeah, we can change it to that, minimum of 15 feet. Okay.
Thank
We have a
you.
motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll go down the list. Hans?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
Who am I missing?
David.
Oh, sorry, David. David
Aye.
and myself, aye.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I just want to make it clear or want clarification that the other special permit that we requested is being addressed.
Okay. And that
It's
was,
the 30-foot pavement and the 15-foot pavement, 30 feet from the right of way and 15, or from the front property line and 15 feet from the side or all other property lines.
okay, so that, okay, they're talking your side yards?
There's a 30-foot, let's see if I could find this section. So we requested the amendment to the initial special permit, and we requested a special permit for the pre-existing non-conforming use of the
Right.
30 foot of pavement within the front yard setback and the 15 feet of pavement from all other property lines, which was not part of the bylaw in 2007 and 5.
Okay. Let me just take a quick look.
Mr. Chairman, I think I had that in my original motion at the very beginning.
Okay, yeah, you're talking under 257.3, pre-existing non-conforming use?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Okay.
All right, Hans, you had that in your original?
Yeah, I had that in my original because that's what they were asking. That was one of the first things that they were at. They were asking for that, and then they were asking for the 20-foot to be reduced, which we reduced to 15 from 5, which is what their request was.
Okay, all right. So it's amended anyway. Okay, and with that, it is approved. I do
Right.
have one thing I have to read. Okay. The permit is granted, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. I'm looking for the post decision. The special permit is granted with the contingency that the petitioner comply with all licenses, regulations, statutes, ordinances of any and all applicable local, state, federal boards or agencies with jurisdiction over the premises. The special permit is subject to periodic review by the permit granting authority or the enforcement officer to ensure compliance with the conditions. Non-compliance to such conditions may result in revocation of this permit. A copy of the board's decision shall be filed with the town clerk within 14 days. Any party aggrieved by the board's decision may appeal to Superior Court within 20 days after the decision is filed with the town clerk. After certification by the town clerk that 20 days has elapsed, the decision was filed, you should have it recorded in the Registry of Deeds. No special permit shall take effect until it has been recorded. The special permit shall lapse within 2 years unless substantial use of construction has commenced. And with that, good luck with your business.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I have one question for the board, if you don't mind.
No,
Before we leave.
right ahead.
Would you like us to prepare a draft decision for your review rather than burden your staff with, I know this is a little bit complicated, there's a lot of writing involved, but
Lisa does have a tape. If you would like to do that she can compare it to her. You're welcome to do that.
okay, we'll prepare a draft decision and get it up to Lisa if that works well.
Okay. Like I say, she will write her own based on, the recordings here tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your
All
help.
right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Take care.
Okay, and with that, we're gonna go right into the next case as we're so late here tonight. Hold on one second. Okay, Lisa, you can go right into the reading of the next case if you would, please.
This is an application for a special permit, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9, Zoning Board of Appeals. The name and address of the applicants are Eric Martineau, 45 Cove Road, and Tiffany Abrams of 45 Cove Road in Lunenburg. The hereby seeks application as follows. Seeking a special permit for dimensional variation to construct a 25 by 28 attached garage. The proposed action has not begun. Street address of the property is 45 Cove Road, assesses map 24, parcel 18. Name and address of each holder of legal title to the land, which is the subject of this case, is Tiffany Abrams and Eric P. Martineau of 45 Cove Road. The deeds recorded in Worcester Northern District Registry of Deeds, book 9824, page 271, and recorded December 21st, 2020. The special permit questions and answers are as follows. I'll just read his replies. The proposed construction of the new attached garage will not be injurious or dangerous to the public health. It will not be hazardous due to traffic congestion or a danger to fire or explosion. I believe that the proposed attached garage will increase the value of the property and will not have an adverse effect on the neighborhood or neighborhood amenities. C, the proposed garage will always be operated with reasonable regard for order and with attention to sight lines. D, the new attached garage will never produce noise, vibration, dust, odor, heat, or glare at the lot lines to the normal use of adjacent properties. Sincerely, Tiffany Abrams and Eric Martineau. Signed March 22nd, 2001 by both Tiffany Abrams and Eric Martineau. There's a certified plot plan from Ducharme Dillis attached with a rendering of what the attached garage is going to look like, a copy of the deed, and I just have a comment from the Conservation Commission. The proposal requires the filing of a notice of intent with the Conservation Commission. This will require a surveyed site plan showing limits of the 30-foot no-touch zone, 50-foot no structure zone, and proposed erosion protection as required per section 335 of local regulations. There is also a copy of the building inspector's letter here that I can read, if I can find it. I have reviewed the application and have the following comments. Property in question is parcel ID 24118 and located at 45 Cove Road. Is currently being used as a single-family home and is in the Residence A zoning district. Proposed work is a 25-foot by 28-foot attached accessory structure to be placed in the front yard of the property. Proposed accessory structure shows a proposed front setback of 33 feet. Under section 250, 5.2A1, no building shall be constructed nearer to the exterior line of any street than 40 feet, and where the street has a width of less than 40 feet between its exterior lines. No building shall be constructed nearer to the center line thereof than 60 feet. With this information, the applicant would need a special permit to vary dimensional requirements from the Zoning Board of Appeals under section 250, 8.3B2D, allowing 7 feet of relief from the front setback requirement. And that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
With that, I would invite the applicant, if he would like to add anything or speak to the addition you'd like to make.
Hi, Eric Martineau. Sorry if you can't see me now. I'm sitting in the dark now. But
Yeah,
so basically, we had to push the addition forward due to the Board of Health. So when I first was looking to put the addition on the house, I was looking to keep it flush with the back of the existing house, but where the leach field is exactly 10 feet from the existing house, But as soon as you put anything to the, adding on to the house, it's too close. So basically I had to bump the addition forward 5 feet to be within Board of Health's restrictions. So that basically bumped me into the road that I need to stay away from.
Okay, anything else? Okay, just a quick question, just so I'm sure. Where you're making the proposal, that's where you're gonna take, there's a deck there now, and there was a camper parked in the driveway. Is that where the addition's going?
Right. So the proposed addition is taking over the deck. The deck is coming down. The camper the addition doesn't go quite
that far.
for the camper. Yeah, it gets close to it, but the camper is not staying there forever. It's that will be moved. So it's basically the addition is already going in the existing driveway.
Right. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to clarify, so I knew exactly where it was on the property, to make sure I knew where you were putting it. Okay, and you're attaching it direct to the house.
Correct.
Okay, with that, I'll open it up to the board.
I didn't have any questions.
Okay. Anyone else from the board have any questions?
I had no questions. It looks like it's kind of minimum where it can be as far as a septic system, and that septic system looks like it was from 5 years ago, so I assume those numbers are pretty accurate. So yeah, no, I have no questions.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? David?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just the other question was regarding the height relief that they were asking, if I remember correctly. Is there a height relief on this one as well?
I don't. Let me take a quick look.
No, it's okay. It's 27.8. No, it's that. I'm all set. That was the other. It's a different hearing.
I think the height's okay on this one.
Yeah. Okay. No questions.
And I'll say, I looked at the property. It seems like a very reasonable request for the relief he's asking for. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion.
Public comment, Mr. Chairman.
Public comment, please. Anything, Patrick?
Not see anything. There is one phone that just popped in, so if you can't raise your hand, yell, unmute yourself. But nope, no one else.
No?
Nope.
Okay. With that, I'll take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the special permit for the front setback relief of 7 feet, front yard setback relief of 7 feet.
Thank you. Second to the motion.
Second,
Okay, with that, I'll call for a roll call vote. Hans?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
James?
yes.
Dave?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, with that, it's approved. And let's see. Now I gotta find my post. Okay, it has been approved. The post instructions are: special permit is granted with the contingency that the petitioner comply with all licenses, regulations, statutes, and ordinances of any and all applicable local, state, and federal boards or agencies with jurisdiction over the premises. Special permit is subject to a periodic review by the permit granting authority or enforcement officer to ensure compliance with any conditions. Non-compliance of such conditions may result in revocation of the permit. Copy of the board's decision shall be filed with the town clerk within 14 days. Any party aggrieved by the board's decision may appeal to Superior Court within 20 days after the decision is filed with the town clerk. After certification by the town clerk that 20 days have elapsed since the decision was filed, you should have it recorded in the Registry of Deeds. No special permit shall take effect until it has been recorded, and the special permit shall lapse within 2 years unless substantial use of construction has commenced. With that, good luck with your addition.
Great. Thank you very much. Have a
You're
good night.
welcome. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, and with that, Lisa, we can go right into the next one.
Okay, this is an application for a special permit. Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 9, Zoning Board of Appeals. Name and address of the applicant is PSG Realty, 255-229 LLC, 133 Leominster Shirley Road in Lunenburg. The undersigned hereby makes application as follows. PSG Realty, 225-229 LLC is requesting a special permit to alter and enlarge the pre-existing non-conforming building and to propose site improvements to the pre-existing non-conforming lot. Basis for this application is found in the following section of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, section 257.3 A and B and 257.4 A1. Street address 225 and 229 Leominster Shirley Road. Assessors map 146, parcel 15. Owners of the property that hold legal title is PSG Realty, 225/229 LLC, 133 Leominster Shirley Road in Lunenburg. Deed is recorded in Worcester Northern District, Registry of Deeds, Book 5026, page 82, recorded October 30th, 2003. It's also signed by Stephen Powell, 259 Leominster Shirley Road in Lunenburg, and I will read the attached list with the answers to the special permit questions. Dear Mr. Gravel, on behalf of PSG Realty 225-259 LLC owner, McCarty Engineering, Inc., MEI, is hereby submitting a special permit for the proposed building and site improvements situated at 225 and 259. It's incorrect in the letter, but it's 225 and 259 Leominster Shirley Road. The property is elliptical in shape with frontage along Leominster Shirley Road and Old Shirley Road. This lot geometry is such that the lot width between Old Shirley Road and Leominster Road is less than the required 150 feet, thus making it a pre-existing non-conforming lot. In reference to zoning, the 2-acre parcel is within the commercial zoning district and is shown as parcel 146 on map 162 of the town of Lunenburg assessors maps. The subject property is currently being used as a contractor's yard by PSG Realty and specifically for construction services for Powell Stone and Gravel, which are allowed uses within the commercial zoning district. The parcel is predominantly surfaced with bituminous pavement, and within the middle of the site is a 7,800 square foot building. The existing structure is non-conforming such that it does not meet the front yard setback to Old Shirley Road. The special permit request pertains to the reconfiguring the site to provide for better truck servicing, truck maneuverability, separation of employee parking, the incorporation of enhanced stormwater management and landscaping. To provide this, the applicant is proposing to construct a 9,400 square foot 6-bay garage and reshape the parking areas. The proposed construction will be phased to allow for the existing building to stay in service while the new building is under construction. The building sequencing will be such that the existing building will stay operational while the new structure is being constructed. Once this building configuration is complete, the existing building will be demolished. Parking lot reconfiguration will occur along with the infrastructure and site improvements. Due to the lot configuration and orientation of the existing building, we are requesting a special permit to position the proposed building 25 feet from the discontinued Old Shirley Road. This building positioning will allow PSG Realty the ability to maintain their construction operations while the proposed building is under construction and will allow PSG Realty the ability to reconfigure the site, reduce impervious cover, improve the treatment of effluent, provide enhanced stormwater management, and landscape elements. In reference to the special permit application and the questions within it, please see the responses below. A, will the proposed action be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion, danger of fire, explosion, or other reasons? The reply, the proposed building and site improvements will improve traffic circulation within the property. The site has been configured to separate the employee and truck traffic while also providing landscape islands along Leominster Shirley Road to direct traffic and provide landscape improvements. To aid in fire protection, the new building will be sprinkled. B, will this action have a material adverse effect on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities of the neighborhood? The reply, this project will bring increased value to the neighborhood with the construction of a new building, parking lot, updates to the infrastructure, and the installation of site amenities. C, will the proposed action be operated with reasonable regard for order and sight lines if an open use? Reply, the site will be predominantly used by staff of PSG Realty and with site reconfiguration, we are segmenting parking areas, reducing impervious cover, and providing multiple pods of green space while maintaining sight lines. D, will the proposed action produce noise, vibration, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines in amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of the adjacent property? The reply, the proposed use will maintain current patterns, but the reduction of pavement and the increased areas of landscaping, the adjacent properties will be buffered. The accompanying this letter was the application, the list of abutters, the site improvement set plan. We're looking forward to, with the board, to review this application. Should you have any questions, please feel free to contact me with any questions. Respectfully, Lar Green. And I believe I have a letter from the building inspector. I reviewed the application and have the following comments. According to records at the assessor's office, the property in question, parcel IDs 146-14-15, listed as 225, 259 Leominster Shirley Road. They are in the commercial district. The building is currently being used as a commercial 5-bay garage that's approximately 7,800 square feet. The proposed use is to construct a new 6-bay garage that is approximately 9,400 square feet next to the existing garage, then demolish the existing garage. Proposed garage shows a front yard setback distance of 25 feet. Required front yard setback distance to the commercial district is 40 feet. Therefore, a special permit is required to vary dimensional regulations per section 258.3 of the zoning bylaw. In addition, the applicant must apply to the planning board for site plan approval according to section 258.4B, 5, and 6. I do have some comments from other town boards. The Board of Health doesn't have an issue with the proposal with the following conditions. The sewage flow from the new building must not exceed the capacity of the on-site septic system. A permit for the replaced relocation of any tanks is needed and the work inspected by the Board of Health. Any floor drains in the new building must pipe to an industrial waste holding tank in accordance with 314 CMR 18. The Conservation Commission says the proposal requires a file of a noticing of intent with the Conservation Commission. This would require a surveyed site plan showing limits of the 30-foot no-touch zone, 50-foot no structure zone, and proposed erosion protection as required per section 335 of local regulations. Planning Board says this project will require site plan approval and a stormwater permit from the Planning Board if the ZBA approves the application. This would not prevent the ZBA from placing any conditions on their approval as permitted in section 258.3. And the fire department has no comments at this time. Fire requirements for the proposed building will need to be discussed upon submission of building plans. The DPW has no comment on the ZBA application. We will provide any technical comments as necessary during the site plan process, approval process with the planning board. And that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Lee.
You're welcome.
And with that, I will invite the applicant to address the application with any new information or anything that you would like to address.
Thank you. My name is Brian Marchetti with McCarty Engineering. Steve Powell with Powellstone and Gravel is also on the phone. If we have any questions that we want to directly ask him. So the property is today, I'm pretty well sure you guys all know where it is. It's the current site where they maintain all Powellstone and Gravel's heavy trucks and equipment. The building's not big enough for their needs. The bays aren't high enough. The garage bays aren't high enough. So we're looking to expand it as described in the narrative. The shape of the lot makes it very difficult to fit a building with the required maneuverability and access driveways for the large trucks and equipment that are frequently parked and serviced here. So trying to situate a new building on the lot while the existing building stays in service it became pretty difficult. However, an interesting thing about this lot is Old Shirley Road to the northwest of the site. That road is actually discontinued back, I believe, in the 60s. And the discontinuance that was recorded for it gives the adjacent parcel owners, so Palestone and Gravel being one of them, use or the revised basically property line of half of that parcel. So that's why we've shown the building where it is now. It looks on the plan like it's over our property line, but our 25-foot dimension goes to the center line of the discontinued road of Old Shirley Road. So, so in essence, we're relocating the building, trying to maintain the setbacks that we can. It begs the question here, if it's no longer a road, is that the front setback or is that a rear setback? The zone we're in, if it's a rear setback, 20 feet's required. So we'd actually meet the setback in that location. So that's kind of up for interpretation or discussion here tonight. However, the remaining area on the site, we're pulling, adding more curbing along the frontage. We're extending a water main up Leominster Shirley Road from the Keating side, from the east. So we're bringing other additional new utilities to the site. We will be upgrading the septic system, and it's a decent size, significant reduction in impervious area on the parcel. So we will be adding stormwater controls in addition to reducing the impervious area. So overall, we result in a significant improvement to the site as it is today. The majority of the property is currently paved. So this will add a lot of structure and a safer flow of vehicular traffic throughout the parcel. Right now, all the employees park right in front of all the larger trucks, the dump trucks, and so this will separate it and make a much safer situation on the property. I guess that's pretty much reading the letter, gave most of the presentation. If there's any specific questions you guys would like to ask, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
Okay. Okay. I think you're right in regards. I think the back side of that building would be the back property line. Front would be from the main road. Leominster Shirley Road would be the front setback. Okay, with that, I will open it up to the board. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have just a quick question. So it looks like from the application that the applicant's only seeking feet of relief from the front yard setback, correct?
That's correct. That's what's in the application. That's what the building inspector found.
Okay.
This is a dimensional variation. I don't think there's an issue with the back, although I look back there, it's very steep, the drop off, and then you have the wall built out of the cement blocking.
Yes.
Is that building gonna come close to that? And I noticed you have a bunch of storage containers, which I think you'll probably remove.
Those are, those are located on the lower side of that retaining wall, which isn't being used by Powell, it's being used by the adjacent abutter. So what we're proposing here, as you can see on the plan, we're on the southern side of that retaining wall, so the uphill side. So this foundation will be designed, this building will be designed to suit. There's a retaining wall down below, so the depth of the footing will all be designed accordingly. I would say it's probably 10 to 15 feet off of that retaining wall.
Okay.
So if that has to be modified, Palestone and Gravel is a contractor, it'll be designed and constructed properly to accommodate.
Okay. Okay, and that, the way the lot goes, it kind of ends in a triangular shape, if I remember.
Yes.
The lot before, after that, where the white dump trucks are, that's not part of this parcel, correct?
No, not if you're heading toward Route 70. If you're talking heading eastbound,
Yeah,
yeah, no.
okay, all right. Okay, any other questions from the board? No questions? Okay, let me see if I had any. Well, I think I have to agree, looking at the, what you supplied, that the traffic flow will be much better. I think that, I looked at the 6 bays you have there now, you're right, it probably needs replacing. The employee parking, when I was there, they were parked right along the current islands. So it would be better where you have them going to now in your new proposed parking area. So with that, if there's no questions, is there anything from the public, Patrick?
Does not appear so. Yep, no hands up.
I see a telephone line. I see a,
I think you mentioned that was
No.
oh yeah, okay,
Steve. Yep.
okay. So if there is no public discussion, I will accept them. Oh, did the phone line just come in?
Just off mute, but
Yeah, this is Steve Powell. I was just unmuting to say thank you.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay, with that, do you have anything to say, Steve?
No, Brian pretty much summed it all up.
All right, very good. With that, I'll accept the motion then.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the dimensional variation on the front yard setback from 40 feet to 25 feet.
Okay.
I'll
second.
second that, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you, David. All right, and with that, I will call for a roll call vote. Hans,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Patrick,
aye.
and I am an aye. With that, we wish you good luck with the new project. I'm sure Powell will do a great job, because they seem to do a great job in the way they run their business, in the way they treat the
Thank
town.
you.
Thank you.
They better, right? They better.
We will. I promise.
All right, very good.
Meeting.
I do have to read the post decision. The special permit is granted with the contingency that the petitioner comply with all licenses, regulations, statutes, ordinances of any and all applicable local, state, and federal boards or agencies with jurisdiction over the premises. Special permit is subject to a periodic review by the permit granting authority of the enforcement officer to ensure compliance with any conditions. Non-compliance to such conditions may result in revocation of the permit. Copy of the board decision shall be filed with the town clerk within 14 days. Any party aggrieved by the board decision may appeal to Superior Court within 20 days after the decision is filed with the town clerk. After certification by the town clerk that 20 days have elapsed since the decision was filed, you should have it recorded in the Registry of Deeds. No special permit shall take effect until it has been recorded, and this special permit shall lapse within 2 years unless substantial use of construction is commenced.
Second, I said, can you
With
make
that, good luck with your new addition.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, so now we're finally moving. Lisa, you can just go right into the next one.
You got it. This is an application for a special permit. Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, Section 9, Zoning Board of Appeals. Name and address of the applicant is Justin Tusignot, 12 Sunset Lane in Lunenburg. The undersigned hereby petitions as follows. applying for relief of the building height requirement in Chapter 250, Article 5, Section 5.3. The proposed action has not begun. The basis for this application is found in the following section of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, Chapter 250, Section 5. Basis, well, it's asking for both, but I think what it is a dimensional variation. The street address of the property is 12 Sunset Lane in Lunenburg, Mass. Assesses map 123, parcel 22. Name and address of each holder of legal title to the land, which is the subject of this case, is Justin D. Tusignot of 12 Sunset Lane in Lunenburg, Mass. The deed is recorded in Worcester Northern District Registry of Deeds, Book 9254, page 104, and recorded January 24th, 2019. The special permit questions and answers are as follows. Will the proposed action be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion, danger of fire or explosion or other reasons? Proposed construction will not be injurious or dangerous to the public health. The construction will be in the same location as the existing house and garage. Traffic will not be impacted as there will be no increase from the existing condition. B, will this action have a material adverse effect on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities of the neighborhood? The response, the construction will not have any adverse effect on the land or buildings in the area as it will maintain the existing locations of the house and garage. C, will the proposed action be operated with reasonable regard for order or sightliness if an open use? The reply, the construction will be operated with reasonable regard for order and sightliness of the area. D, will the proposed action produce noise, vibration, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines in amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of adjacent property? And the response, the construction will not affect normal use of adjacent property. There's a natural vegetative buffer between the existing site and the abutters. And this letter came from Whitman and Bingham Associates. It closes by saying, if you should have any questions or require additional information regarding this or any other matter, please do not hesitate to contact me at the office. And that's signed James E. Rowe, PLS from Whitman and Bingham Associates, LLC. And it's signed on March 22nd by Justin Tusignot of 12 Sunset Lane in Lunenburg. There is a site plan, a list of abutters. Looks like a very old plan from 2003 included, and then a rendering of the existing conditions prepared by Whitman and Bingham Associates, and then a proposed condition of the property. I do have a couple of notes from other departments. This is from the Board of Health. Board of Health does not have an issue with this proposal with the following conditions. Expansion of the structure cannot result in an increase of sewage flow to the septic system. Floor plans of both buildings will be required prior to the issuance of a building permit. And number two, the footprint of the buildings with the proposed expansion must comply with offset requirements in Title V. Site plan must include all components of the on-site system. And that was from Jim Gareffi, Director of the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health. And I guess that was the only comment. I did get a letter from the building official. I'll read that quickly. I reviewed the application and have the following comments. Property in question is parcel ID, thank you, 123-22 listed as 12 Sunset Lane. It is in the outlying district. Buildings are currently being used as a single-family home and attached accessory building garage to a single-family home. The proposed use is to remodel and or expand both the existing home and the existing garage. The submitted plot plan shows the detached garage to remain in the same footprint and the existing house footprint to increase. The application plot plan incorrectly lists the property as being in Residence A. In actuality, the property is in the outlying district. The applicant shows a distance of 17 feet to the side yard setback for the proposed house. The outlying district requires a 25 side yard setback. Therefore, 8 feet of a side yard setback would be required to be granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals. A rear yard setback and front yard setback do not appear to need any relief. In addition, regarding the maximum height of the buildings, Section 255.3A, 2, Residence A, B, or outlying district, the vertical distance between any point on the roof of a building, whether main or accessory, and any point on the side or rear lines of its lot shall not exceed the horizontal distance between the same 2 points by more than 5 feet. Under section 255.3A1, the maximum height for any building or structure shall be 38 feet. Any height increases to the detached garage would be limited to 29 feet unless a special permit was granted by the board. Any height increases to the house would be limited to 22 feet unless a special permit was granted by the board. In short, the applicant appears to need a special permit for side yard setback relief for the house of 8 feet and a special permit for height relief for the house of 2 feet. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that, I would invite the applicant to speak to the application.
Good evening. Oh, can you hear me? My name's Steve
Yep.
Ballard.
Okay, Steve, we can hear you.
Okay. And if I could, I'll share the screen.
You may.
Thank you.
Should be able to. It not letting you share that screen?
No.
The share screen at the bottom, what are you seeing?
I am. Told me I had to open my security and privacy to grant access.
Well, he's looking for that. I'm actually Justin. How you doing,
Okay.
folks? I'm the homeowner. Steve is with Whitman and Bingham. They're the ones who are helping me work through all this stuff. And then I also have my architect, David Hornstein, on the line too, just in case we had any questions.
Okay.
I've been living here. I know the deed said 2019, but I moved in 2015. We redeeded the house a little differently in 2019 when I refinanced, but I love living in Lunenburg. I love the house. We live on the lake. We're looking to expand our family, so we need a little bit more space. And with COVID, working from home, I'm self-employed. I run my own business, so that's one of the reasons we were looking at working on the detached structure garage. Plan is to be here a really long time, so some of the things that we're doing is getting it ready, as we get older, so to speak, because the site is tiered and challenging. So trying to deal with some of those things now.
Okay. I will agree that the site is challenging.
Yeah.
I've never, the height difference between your house and the garage is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much higher it is, but it's got to be what, 20 feet?
With the grade change, yeah, I'd have to look at the plans, but it's a decent size. Yeah.
Yeah.
I joke with my friends that if we were 12 years old on a snow day, you wouldn't go sledding down the driveway.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
Okay. Are we still trying to get the?
Is the architect able to display the plans?
That's
Unfortunately, in my package, there was no plans.
I think Steve has them too. Did you get the share, Steve?
So I'm trying to work it out. I'm not sure. Got it right here. Wow. I apologize. I thought it was just gonna allow me to use it.
It's okay. It's probably just tired.
Didn't be.
Justin?
Yep.
All right, you could probably share your version,
Okay, hold on one second.
or I can share it.
Yeah, you want to try and pull it up while he's doing that? Let me see, because I'd have to download it.
Yeah, let me try. Okay. Oh, that's the wrong one.
When I initially submitted the plan, I had the incorrect zoning. I revised the plan to show the correct zoning. And I also revised the plan to show the distance calc from where the,
Okay, I guess I can probably try to share this. Let's see if I can get back on the Zoom. I'll try to share my screen then. Okay, share. Are we seeing my screen now?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Steve, do you want to walk through this and I'll just drive around?
sure. The plan, if you could rotate it counterclockwise. There we go. So it shows the proposed garage and the proposed house, and with the improvements. For the garage, the existing, where the proposed sideline to the distance of that to the roof is going to be 24.7 feet. And on the calc for that, it's 24.7 plus the 5 feet to be 29.7, which that height conforms for the garage, but the side yard, because it's 25 feet and not 15, would need relief for 15. So 10 feet for that corner of the garage.
Okay.
The height of the house would still conform for the building height as far as being under 38 feet, but for the calc to the roof, it would be the 27 plus 5 is 32 feet. The proposed height of the roof in that portion is 36.3. So it would be 4.3 above what that calc would be for the number 2 in the section for building height.
Okay.
And also, as the building inspector said, the 17-foot, the 8-foot relief for that corner of the house to the side yard.
Okay. Okay, so you need relief for the garage too, you said?
Yes,
Okay, for the side setback?
side setback.
Okay, yeah, because he was just mentioning the house, okay. Okay, but in the house gets a little bit proposed, is a little bigger, the garage stays in the same footprint.
There's a little section in the back that they continued to square off the garage.
This section, right? This little square right here.
Okay, all right. So that's part of the issue with that is coming in.
Yes.
Okay. And the house, where is the construction on that? Is it all up or is it also out? Is it that
A
bump out?
piece right here. This angle piece right here. Is my cursor visible, I assume?
Yeah, we can see
Yeah.
the cursor.
Okay, so yeah, from here out to here. So this is all, compliant within the setback though.
Right. It's on the other side that you need relief.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, all right. With that, I'll open it up to the board if you have any questions.
Do you have the plans of the house, David? Did the board want to see the plans of the house or no?
Um,
We're always curious.
They're actually, I'll have to, they're on the other computer, so I don't have them on this
Oh.
one, but if you give me a minute, I can get them on this one.
No, don't worry about it.
yeah, you don't have to. We're really dealing with the setbacks here
Yeah.
and the dimensional variation, and we can see what we need to see from these drawings.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the board?
Can I just ask? I missed a couple. It was 10 feet setback for the garage, and then what was the other two on the house?
The sideline of 8, and then for the calculation for the offset, and with reference to the height, it would be 4.3.
It was 4.3 on the height of the house.
Right.
Okay.
For the section of the second portion of the height requirement.
Correct. Okay.
Okay.
Just to mention on the roof height, it's actually essentially a flat roof. The problem is the grade drops off so quickly that even if you start flat, because the grade is dropping off, it gets higher, but we would essentially have to have the roof follow the grade down in order to stay compliant. So the roof would be kind of slanting the wrong way, essentially.
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
What's your proposed pitch right now on the roof?
Well, it's flat for the first third, and then it's about a 2.5 pitch from there. So it's essentially flat. But
Good luck. Oh, sorry. Did I say that out loud?
we'll call you when it leaks, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
No, don't.
You blessed it. You own it.
I don't know if the rest of the board went there, but it's kind of a unique piece of property in the drop off.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Impressive.
And when I first looked, I was looking from the road and I was wondering where is 12? Then I looked over the bank and it said, oh,
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I love the place. Very private.
right. Okay, any other questions from the board?
So what in effect are you asking? It's 2 side lots and 1 height? Is that, I don't have anything on my paperwork that says anything about any of that.
The sideline is because I have the incorrect zoning information. So that's why
So
that's,
Yeah,
can you sum up what the side? You said there's 1 on the house, 1 on the garage, and then
the height
right.
of
the
the house.
height of the house.
Yeah.
And the side on the house was 7 feet?
That's this here. So it's the difference between 17 and 25.
So 8 feet.
8 feet there.
8 feet on that side, but there's nothing on the other side.
This side
The
is
other
fine.
side conforms.
On the garage is where the other side is a problem.
The other side where you're adding in this little small section to square it off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is a 8 feet also?
That is 10 feet, the 25 minus the 15.
And the height variation on the house only?
On the house only, yep, the garage conforms.
And now the height on the house, that's just the back section, the one where there's no building whatsoever right now? This back corner that abuts the storage area? Is that the part that needs the height variation?
The part right around where the bump out begins. Where the,
Yeah, because part of this is a deck. So the roof actually ends about here. And then this projection forward is a deck. So you're correct that the height is in this area right here.
Okay.
There's no roof over this area, actually.
All right, so what's the height variation that's needed there?
4.3.
And that does not affect anyone from the surrounding area looking down, so it would not obstruct any of the views.
Correct.
No, sir,
Yeah,
it would not.
There's vegetation on both sides and there's nothing on the roadside that would be obstructed.
And actually, the adjacent house that would be of concern is much closer to the lake. And so this house is significantly behind that one, so they wouldn't see it at all.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
Al, can we ask the applicant or the engineer to send a copy of these revised plans for the file?
Yes, I will. I will email them tomorrow morning.
Okay, yeah, that would be good. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Public comment?
Public comments?
Oh, public comment, anything, Patrick?
I do not see any hands up from.
I did see a couple of what appeared to be new faces on
Yep. Nope, nothing from anybody. So if you are, raise your hand or unmute and say something.
Okay. So with that, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the, both the side yard setbacks as well as the height variance for this property.
I think they changed a little bit, so I can't find my pen, so I didn't write it down, but I think it was 4.3 on the height.
Yes,
Yeah.
4.3 on the height and, what was it, 10 feet on the
Garage.
Garage, yeah.
garage.
Yeah, and then 8 feet on the house.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. I'll call for a roll call vote. Hans,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Patrick,
Aye.
okay.
Jim, aye.
James, yeah. And I say aye. So with that, the application and the permit is approved. And again, I have to read the post-decision instructions. Special permit is granted with contingency that the petitioner comply with all licenses, regulations, statutes, and ordinances of any and all applicable local, state, and federal boards or agencies with jurisdiction over the premises. Special permit is subject to a periodic review by the permit granting authority of the enforcement officer to ensure compliance with any conditions. Non-compliance to such conditions may result in revocation of the permit. Copy of the board's decision shall be filed with the town clerk within 14 days. Any party aggrieved by the board's decision may appeal to Superior Court within 20 days after the decision is filed with the town clerk. After certification by the town clerk, 20 days have elapsed since the decision was filed. You should have it recorded in the Registry of Deeds. No special permit shall take effect until it has been recorded. The special permit shall lapse within 2 years unless substantial use of construction has commenced. And with that, we wish you good luck with your new home improvements.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. No, it's late.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Sorry.
I now know more about Subaru dealerships than I previously did, so. Thank you. Bye.
You wore us down.
We set up a tough one first. We knew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's unusual for us to have 4 cases in a row, but that's just how it ended up.
Thanks a lot.
All right, with that, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Take care,
much.
everyone.
Okay. Hey, Tony, by the way, just so that you know, you were free to speak anytime during the hearing, just like any other member.
Okay, I just,
If you have questions or comments, yeah, feel free to step right in.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, anything else from the board?
How about if I make a motion that we adjourn?
Why? Early.
I love you guys, but.
We don't have anything scheduled for the rest of the month. So if anybody applies, it'll either be the 2nd or 4th week in May. So enjoy your time off. And thanks for doing the extra tonight.
Oh, shucks. Anything for you,
That's
Lisa.
no problem.
Because I'm on vacation the next meeting. So it works for
Okay.
me.
All right, that's good. All right, well, have a good vacation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Bring
All
us a
right, guys.
postcard.
Thank you. Have
Seeing
fun.
you again.
All right.
Take
Thanks.
care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
See you
bye-bye.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.